guys, how you doing? So today I am finally delivering my first ever Q&A. This is without a doubt the most overdue video I've ever had to make for you guys, but it's finally here and I'm excited to be answering your questions. So for any of you guys who don't know, about 5 months ago I surpassed 500 subscribers. It was an incredible achievement. I was extremely happy about it, and I decided that once I reached that goal, I would make my first ever Q&A video in which you guys would submit questions and I'd answer them. Q&A. So you guys asked me about 120 questions, which was a pretty good number. So I tried to round it down between 70 and 80. I don't know if I'm going to get to that point, but I definitely know that I'm going to be answering more than half of your questions. If you guys submitted more than 10, because I know that there are a few of my viewers who submitted quite a lot of questions to me, which is fantastic, but if you submitted over 10, there's a good chance I cut about half of the questions. And a few of them were very similar, so that was fine, but a couple of them were questions that would take me way too long to answer. But anyways, guys, let's get into this, starting off with the first question from Dennis. Thank you very much, Dennis. You are awesome. Do you have a girlfriend? My answer to that is no. And there's a lot of reasons why, but I'll just try to keep it like this. I honestly did not have the time for it, and I wasn't heavily associated with my high school, but of course the time it takes to do all these videos and getting new Blu-rays and spending time with family and my other friends, I honestly didn't have the time, and honestly I didn't want to have this huge commitment. Alright, the next question comes from Mayank Nawal, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name. He's a really cool dude, by the way. Definitely follow him on Twitter. I'll be putting links to people's Twitters and YouTube accounts in here because there's some awesome people who ask me questions. He's definitely one of them. We talk all the time about movies. He says, "Hey Kyle, name any 3 movies from your childhood which you immensely love and can't criticize, irrespective of how good or bad they are." This was a difficult question, but I think I finally came down to 3. And this isn't a 1, 2, 3. There's no ascending or descending order with this. So I'll just start off with Back to the Future Part 2. Now, being completely, brutally honest with you guys, Back to the Future Part 2 is actually my favorite of the trilogy. I absolutely love that movie. I know the first one is definitely the best objectively, but in my opinion, I've always enjoyed Part 2 more. It goes through multiple timelines, and it never feels jumbled to me. I know a lot of people think it's messy, but for me, I've always really loved it. And it has one of my favorite scenes of all time, where Doc draws the line of time. I love that scene because he took the complexities of time travel and broke it down into its simplest form. So the next one is The Empire Strikes Back, or Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, or Star Wars Episode 5. Whichever title you want to name it, doesn't really matter to me. It's one of those movies where I don't really have a major problem with it. I think it is as close to a perfect movie as you can possibly get. And of course the last one is Spider-Man 2. This is a movie that came out in 2004. I absolutely love Spider-Man 2. I truly think it's a perfect movie, and it's one of the few movies that I love just as much as I did when I was a kid. Next question comes from Shadow Reflex. Thank you very much, sir. Hey Kyle, are you much of a gamer? If so, what are your all-time favorite games? That's a good question, and to be honest, I've never been an avid gamer. I played video games, but I'm not someone who vigorously plays them. I know plenty of people who do that. I'm an Xbox person. I've always enjoyed the Xbox 360, and I have the Xbox One. I'm way more of a mainstream kind of person. I played League of Legends and World of Warcraft maybe once or twice. I could never really get into those games. I always enjoyed playing first-person shooters. I'm a mainstream kind of person when it comes to video games. I enjoy the hell out of them. They're a lot of fun. I did play the Call of Duty franchise for a couple of years. I thought the games got really bad after a while, so I stopped playing them. But the first Call of Duty game I ever got was Modern Warfare 3, or MW3. That game I think will always be special to me. It is my favorite Modern Warfare game, but I love the entire trilogy. I think they are really good games, and they have characters that you actually really do care about. I also really enjoy Wolfenstein: The New Order. I can't wait for Wolfenstein 2. It actually has been about 2 years since I purchased a video game, but that one will definitely be the next one. I am very pumped for that game. It looks incredible. I do have a couple of Forza Motorsport games. I played those every once in a while. They were fun. But I also have the 2 rebooted Tomb Raider games. Those games are really fun to play. I enjoyed both of them. I thought the Rise of the Tomb Raider was just as good as the first one. I really had fun playing those. Alright, so the next two questions come from Eddie P. His first one is, hey Kyle. Hey Eddie, what's going on? What is the most important film that you've never seen? This is a pretty good question because there are still a few classic movies that I've yet to watch, but I think the number one film that I haven't seen that I absolutely should is Silence of the Lambs. I've never seen it. I've heard from everyone it's disturbing and terrifying, but after watching Seven recently, I think I'll be okay with it, but, I definitely should watch it. And his second question is, favorite YouTube movie reviewers and why? I really enjoy watching a lot of people's channels. I enjoy watching their reviews because I like the fact that we share an opinion on movies. Because I love talking about film. I definitely enjoy watching Jeremy Johns, FlickPick, Screen Junkies. Of course, Chris Stuckman. My reputation for being similar to him is known on this channel. But I definitely enjoy watching everyone else. I enjoy reviewing movies because I've talked about movies my entire life to people. Alright, next question comes from Adriano Prasiri. I'm pretty sure I pronounced your last name wrong. I'm sorry, buddy. But he asks, what sort of music do you like? This is a good question, and it's great insight to knowing who I am as a person. I am undoubtedly an old soul. I'm not a fan of contemporary music. I'm not really a big fan of hip-hop and pop music that's in the here and now. I enjoy classic rock. I enjoy R&B, soul. I really do enjoy that kind of music. Bands like the Rolling Stones, of course the Beatles, Black Sabbath, the Sweets, of course Michael Jackson, although the whole child molesting thing, that's really creepy. Michael Jackson, I really do enjoy him. Alright, next question comes from Raging Wampa. Pretty interesting name. He says, great on hitting at the milestone, Kyle. Here's the question. What is your favorite Coen Brothers movie that you've seen? I think they have such a unique way of directing, so I'm interested to hearing your opinion of them. Thank you very much. My favorite is a tie between Fargo and The Big Lebowski. Two very good choices, without a doubt. Fargo, I think, is tied for me with No Country for Old Men. Those two movies are absolutely phenomenal, but I feel like if I had to choose one, it'd be No Country for Old Men. I've seen it probably 5 times, and I think it actually gets better each viewing. It is an extremely dark, bleak movie that has an ending that I did not see coming. But it's a truly phenomenal movie. If you have not seen No Country for Old Men, you need to see it. For Javier Bardem's performance in general, one of the best of all time. Okay, so the next two questions come from Tasty T. Interesting name. His first question is, what is the weirdest film you've ever seen? That's a very good question. And I honestly have 3 that I really can't... I need to talk about the 3 of them. The first movie is Under the Skin. It came out in 2013. If you guys don't know, it stars Scarlett Johansson. And I'd rather not describe the character that she plays because I feel like revealing that would actually spoil a major part of the movie. But honestly, it's one of the weirdest things I have ever seen in my entire life. I actually had to stop watching about halfway through because it just got so abstract and just flat out disturbing. I eventually came back to when I watched the rest of the movie, but it's such a weird film and it's so abstract, and so much of the movie is up to your interpretation because a lot of it just doesn't make any sense. But I do think if you enjoy those kinds of movies, you without a doubt need to watch it. The second movie I want to talk about is Enemy. That's a movie directed by Denis Villeneuve, who made Arrival, Prisoners, and Sicario. Enemy is undoubtedly his most abstract movie. That film just weirded me out for a long time. And when the movie ended, I actually had to go online and watch some analyzed reviews to understand parts of the movie because, for the most part, I was completely lost. The third movie is Mulholland Drive, and that movie is directed by David Lynch. I saw the movie, I think, at the end of the year last year, and there are times where I still think about it because it's one of those movies that's unforgettable. That movie is undoubtedly in my mind and it's going to stay there. For the longest time, I felt like I knew where it was going, and then there's a twist that happens towards the ending of the second act, And from then on, it is one of the most confusing, weird, abstract concepts I've ever seen. It's so weird, and I know David Lynch is known for his weird stuff, but man, that movie is crazy. His next question is, what's a film that you could see was well made but just bored you to tears? That is a very easy one for me to answer. It's possibly my most unpopular opinion, and it's an opinion that is well known on this channel. That movie is 2001: A Space Odyssey. I do not like that movie. I think it is the most pretentious film I've ever watched. And not only that, but it is ungodly slow. I mean, I don't think pacing was even a word when they made that movie. Next question comes from the Deep Space Potato. He's my friend Caleb, pretty awesome dude. He asked, what's your favorite color? Of course, he likes to write it like that. Simply, blue. That's it. Next question comes from Mr. Nerdista. He is my first fan of this channel, and I really have to thank him for that briefly. He also makes fantastic analysis videos. Definitely go check out his channel. I definitely have given him a shout out. He is a really awesome dude. He's incredible. He says, congratulations, buddy. As for the Q&A, here's my question. What's your favorite black and white film? This for me was tough because I pulled out 3 films. 7 Samurai, 12 Angry Men, and Psycho. And I feel like out of those 3, I have to pick Psycho. That one for me is my favorite. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. And I absolutely love that movie. I've only seen 12 Angry Men twice, and I've only seen 7 Samurai once. I feel like the major issue is I just need to watch them more, but I've seen Psycho at least 7 or 8 times. Next question comes from Ismail Basira. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced your last name. I apologize for that, but he says, congrats on hitting 500 subs. Thank you very much. My question for you would be, what is your favorite X-Men film, and could you possibly rank them? So, I definitely did some rankings last year, and I might do it later on this year. I don't know. I haven't seen a few of the X-Men films in years, so I definitely need to rewatch all of them. But I would definitely say my favorite is Logan. Logan, just by far, that movie was incredible, and it really was the best movie I saw this year until I saw Baby Driver. But man, Logan is incredible. Next one comes from Patrick Gazda, who's a good buddy of mine. He says, what is the first movie that inspired your passion for film? That is an easy one, and that is the original Star Wars. I do have a poster of it right here. I have a Rogue One poster right there. But yeah, I love Star Wars. Star Wars really is the movie that made me the person I am today. I feel like if I hadn't seen Star Wars, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. And he says, what is it that you liked about this movie? Everything. I loved everything about Star Wars. Alright, next 2 questions are from Abdul Litney. I believe that's how I pronounce your last name. It is a Z in front of Litney, but I don't know if the Z is silent. But anyways, he asked me 4 questions, and I decided to pick 2. One of them was a question I just answered previously. But his first one is, what led you to becoming a movie critic? That's a very good question, but I like to refer myself more as a movie reviewer. Being a movie critic kind of sounds a little bit negative, but that's just in my opinion. I know people enjoy calling themselves critics, but I feel like they're the kind of people who like to hover over the audience. For me, I enjoy watching a movie just like all you guys out there, but my biggest inspiration is for talking about films to everyone to the point where they got bored and they're like, my God, you love movies, you got to talk about them. Start, opening things up to the public, and I realized, you know what? Why not try my hand at doing video reviews? Because that, I think, might be the best way to get my point across. That's a good question. And the second one is, who is your favorite director or directors? Mine are Steven Spielberg and Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau. That's a pretty good choice. But Steven Spielberg undoubtedly is one of my favorites. I also love James Cameron, Edgar Wright, Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, Peter Jackson too. King Kong and Lord of the Rings. I mean, you couldn't go wrong there. Of course, Sam Raimi with the Spider-Man trilogy and The Evil Dead. So there's a lot of great directors out there. Alright, next question comes from Jesus Maldonado. What do you like to look at first, director or actors before watching a movie? That's a good question because I really think it depends on the film. If it says a film by Christopher Nolan, I'm immediately into it because it's by Christopher Nolan. If it's a movie that says starring Tom Hanks, I'm interested because I love Tom Hanks. He's my favorite actor. So I really think it just varies depending on the movie. Next question comes from Brian Lomax's Movie Talk, and he asks, what film character do you most identify with? I don't think I've ever seen a character that, to me, I'm like, that's me. That 100,000,000,000% is me. Never had that before, but I think the two characters who have come the closest to that is Erwin, Hayden Sato's character from The Edge of 17. That was one of the best movies of last year, in my opinion. And his character, just some of the things he said and did really reminded me of some of the things I said or wanted to do. And plus, he was a documentary filmmaker, so that really played right into my wheelhouse, the fact that he was interested in being a filmmaker. And the second one is Andrew Neiman from Whiplash. And I really think it's down to his intense passion for jazz. That's like my intense passion for movies. I tell everyone about it, and whether they're interested or not, I always enjoy expressing my love for an art form. Alright guys, now we're branching into the people who asked me the most questions. The one who asked me the most by far was named Benjamin Snyder. He asked me 40 questions, which is just incredible. So I rounded it to between 20 and 25. So anyways, let's just go, and I'm going to try to rapid fire through these sections as best I can, but I'm going to answer these questions as best I can. What do you think of Star Wars Episode 8's official title? Do you think it's a good one, or that a better one could have been thought up to be used instead? I like The Last Jedi. I think that that's pretty cool. It could be singular or plural. I like the fact that it's going to be plural because it's Luke and Rey. I'm excited for Star Wars Episode 8. That's my most anticipated movie of the entire year, so I'm really pumped for it. Who is your favorite actress outside of Mary Elizabeth Winstead? That is a very hard question because there's a lot of great actresses, undoubtedly. I like Amy Adams, for sure. Jennifer Connelly. I think that she's extremely underrated. I had a crush on her before Mary. But yeah, I love Jennifer Connelly for sure. I also love Helen Mirren. She's just great in really everything she's ever been in. There's so many other great actresses, but I think definitely Amy Adams, Jennifer Connelly, and Helen Mirren are the three actresses that stand out. Who is your favorite movie composer outside of John Williams and Hans Zimmer? That for me would be Danny Elfman. I've always loved his scores, especially for Spider-Man, because I grew up watching those movies, so I gotta say Danny Elfman. Who is your favorite actor to play as Batman? That for me is a tie between Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. I think those two are fantastic, and I really can't pick one, so it really is between those two. Who is your favorite actor to play as James Bond 007? That for me would be Sean Connery. I've always liked his performance the most out of all of them. Which is your favorite Rocky sequel? This was pretty hard because, excluding Rocky 5, that movie is an abomination. I hate Rocky 5. Rocky 4 is really a guilty pleasure because as good as we want to think that movie is, it really isn't. It's amazing to watch, but it's not a good movie. So I think it's between Rocky 2 and Rocky 3. I think I have to choose Rocky 3 because while I really enjoy Rocky 2, Mr. T is perfect. I pity the fool. And he says dead meat like no other actor has ever said before. It's terrifying. He was terrifying, but I like that it's Rocky. He's at the top of his game, and then all of a sudden he goes to his lowest point, and he has to overcome that fear of being knocked down. And also rejuvenated by Apollo Creed, of course, played by Carl Weathers, who I think has the best mustache ever. Favorite Harrison Ford movie outside of Star Wars and Indiana Jones? That's really hard. I mean, the man has made so many fantastic films, but I'd probably have to say The Fugitive. I love The Fugitive. What was your favorite quote or line from the Dark Knight trilogy? I don't think I can possibly pick one. I mean, there have been so many fantastic quotes throughout that entire trilogy. Of course, you wonder how I got these scars. It's not who I am, but what I do that defines me. I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. So many fantastic lines. Favorite Will Smith movie? That's tough. I'd probably have to go with Independence Day. I love Independence Day. Screw it. I love that movie so much. I just rewatched it over 4th of July weekend. I still love it just as much. What is your favorite Michael Jackson song? Beat It. And fun fact, that was the first music video I ever watched. It's my favorite Michael Jackson song. It's the first one I ever heard, and I've always enjoyed it. What is your favorite thing to eat while watching movies? Popcorn. That's easy. Favorite Scarlett Johansson role/character outside of Black Widow? I've enjoyed Scarlett Johansson in a number of films, but I really like her performance in Lost in Translation. That's just beautiful. Favorite Catwoman, Julie Newmar, Michelle Pfeiffer, or Anne Hathaway? Michelle Pfeiffer. Undoubtedly. Favorite Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie? That'd probably have to be Looper. I've enjoyed Joseph Gordon-Levitt in a lot of films. I like him in 10 Things I Hate About You, but Looper, that movie is gold. Until the last 5 minutes, I'm not a fan of the movie's ending. I don't think it makes any sense. But I think that really is his best movie. Favorite Steven Spielberg movie? My God. I mean, my God, he's made so many fantastic movies. Jaws, Raiders. I love Temple of Doom, though. I'm a huge Temple of Doom fan. Of course, Last Crusade. Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan, Minority Report, War of the Worlds, which I think is a very underrated movie, Bridge of Spies. I mean, he's made so many incredible movies. I'd probably have to say Raiders. Most inspirational movie song to work out to. Gonna Fly Now from Rocky. That one's an easy one. What do you like to watch on Netflix? Shows. I enjoy watching the Marvel shows that they have on there. I just finished watching Luke Cage. I thought that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed Jessica Jones. I'm just getting into Daredevil. I've watched a couple of movies, not Netflix original movies, but I've watched movies that are on Netflix, which is pretty dope. Who should direct Bond 25? There's just been rumors in circulation that Daniel Craig is signed on to play the role. And if that's the case, then I know Christopher Nolan isn't going to direct it because he wants to redefine the character in his own image, which, by all means, just do that after Daniel Craig is done. It'd be interesting if Tarantino could just make a Bond movie. It would be R-rated and bloody, but I feel like that's what we need after Spectre, because, man, there's only places you can go from there is up. Favorite movie actor with the name Chris? Chris Pratt. That one's easy. He is truly my bro. And finally, favorite end credits scene of any movie. I don't want to spoil it, but probably the ending of Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, I'm just going to leave it at that, but man, the ending to that movie was just gold. Okay, next set of questions come from Sarah Hargett. Thank you very much, Sarah. Definitely follow her on Twitter. She's really nice. She says, congrats on hitting 500. Of course, thank you. Alright, so, what fictional universe would you most like to live in? Of course, the Star Wars universe. That one for me, always since I was a kid. I'd love to live in that universe. What is your all-time favorite movie genre? It is a toss-up between action and science fiction, undoubtedly. If I had to pick one, I'd probably have to say science fiction. Who would you have write, direct, and star in a movie about you? I can't think of anyone who could star as me. I think it'd have to be a lot older. But in terms of writing and directing, I'd love Aaron Sorkin to just write one hell of a screenplay. And in terms of director, I mean, man, Edgar Wright could really make it snappy. So the combination of those two would be amazing. I can't think of anyone who would star as me. What actor or actress would you like to see win their first Oscar someday? That one, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's it. What's a movie that you love but no one else ever pays attention to? That movie is 1993's Last Action Hero. I think that's the most underrated movie ever made. I love that film. And I think it's way smarter than people are led on to believe, and really no one talks about it for some reason. What's the oldest film you've ever seen? Modern Times. It's a movie by Charlie Chaplin. I believe it came out in 1935 or 36. If only one were possible, would you rather a film have a great plot, well-developed characters, or spectacular visuals? This is a question that I really took a lot of time to think about. It was boggling my mind for days. And there were times where I kind of sat down, thought about it, and I'm like, no, it can't be this without the other. With well-developed characters, that's fantastic, and it's something that a lot of movies these days lack. But if there's not a great plot to follow it, then you're not really going to care as much. So it automatically just drops. But you can have a really good plot, but if the characters are very wooden and one-dimensional, it really hurts the chances of a movie becoming really successful and rewatchable because you want to care about your characters all the time, and if they're so flat, then you're really not going to care. However, if a movie can just have spectacular visuals, that is phenomenal in and of itself. And think about any kind of silent film, because there's no dialogue in those. It's all in the visuals. So I feel like if you have spectacular visuals, that one out of the three wins. When you listen to music, do you sing along, lip sync, or just listen? Most of the time I just listen. Sometimes I like to sing along. You know, if it's a Christmas song, I enjoy doing that with my family. Lip syncing, of course, you know, that I think everyone does that. If you could own a vehicle from a movie, which one would it be? This is one of my favorite questions. 100% one of my favorite questions, because this is one of the biggest reveals. The car I want is actually the red pickup truck that Bill Paxton used in Twister. And of course, Bill Paxton no longer with us. May he rest in peace. Twister is one of my favorite movies. It's undoubtedly a guilty pleasure, but I love watching it. I saw it hundreds of times as a kid. But that Dodge pickup truck, for some reason, I've always wanted it. It's just so cool. And when I was a little kid, I used to love Dodge pickup trucks. And whenever I was on the road with my dad, whenever I saw a Dodge, whether it was a car or a truck, I'd always look at it and say Dodge. And we used to play this game on the highway where we do that. And, you know, I'd always win because my dad was always behind the wheel. But, you know, that was fun. And I've always enjoyed Dodge. And that's probably the truck I'd want to have. Which film in the Lord of the Rings trilogy do you like best? Are you kidding me? I love all three movies. And to pick one, I don't even know if that's even possible, because I love all three movies for specific elements and scenes that they have to offer. I love the first movie mainly for its world building and the fact that you believe Middle-earth is a real place. That took a lot of convincing, but they really did it. With The Two Towers, it's the Battle of Helm's Deep. That battle, still to this very day, is incredible. And with Return of the King, everything except for the 11 different endings, because they just couldn't figure out how to conclude the movie, I'd probably have to go with the unpopular pick and say Two Towers. That's the one I watched the most as a kid, and just the Battle of Helm's Deep, that is just perfect. Do you have a staple Christmas movie? I have a few of them. Definitely Polar Express, and fun fact, that is the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I can't believe it's 13 years old. Oh man, that's just shocking. But on Christmas Eve, every year, my family watches White Christmas. That is my favorite Christmas movie. I think I'll always love it. It's very, very special to me. So yeah, that definitely is it. What's your ranking of all the Star Wars films up to date? I can't wait to do it when Last Jedi comes out. I really hope it blows my mind. But as of right now, Empire Strikes Back is number 1. The original Star Wars is a very close second. Return of the Jedi for number 3. This is hard because Rogue One, I think, is my number 4. I really love Rogue One. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I really enjoyed that movie. Number 5 and number 6, it's a tie between Force Awakens and Revenge of the Sith. Because I do enjoy Revenge of the Sith. And I know a lot of people hate it just as much as the first 2 prequels. But I think it's a genuinely good movie. And with The Force Awakens, it's good, but it's problematic because way too much it's trying to be the original movie. And then Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. That'd be my ranking. And lastly, what's your least favorite movie genre? Romance. I'm not a fan of romantic movies. They're just not really my bag. There's a few of them that I really do enjoy. I really love La La Land, as you guys know. Titanic. I mean, that movie is just awesome. It's awesome. And West Side Story. I enjoy those 3 movies. I think those are probably the few outsider movies I enjoy from that genre. So thank you very much, Sarah, and let's move on to Jack's Movie Reviews. This is one of my favorite guys just ever. Definitely follow him on YouTube. He makes fantastic analysis videos. Also follow him on Twitter. Great guy. I love talking to him. He asks, what types of movies do you want to make? Without a doubt, blockbusters, action movies. I've always loved action films and science fiction films. Those 2 specifically, but, you know, I'll make any kind of movie as long as it's fun and it's got a good script and it's got a good cast and people really care about what they're doing. as long as it's like that, even a romance film, there's a lot of passion that goes into making those movies. If you could meet one filmmaker, who would it be? This is a good question because I want to say Steven Spielberg for a lot of reasons, but Robert Zemeckis, and like I said before with The Polar Express, that's the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I'd like to meet him one day and tell him that, because I feel like it'd be special for him. Favorite comedian? Oh my god. I'd probably have to say, okay, Robin Williams. It's unfortunate that he's dead, so one that's dead. And I think, I enjoy listening to Conan O'Brien. He is hilarious in my opinion. Stephen Colbert, without a doubt. Jimmy Kimmel. I enjoy listening to all of those guys. I've enjoyed Chris Rock. I mean, my god, no one has a voice like that man. And he is hilarious in his stand-up. Do you listen to podcasts? I do. Not frequently, but I definitely enjoy listening to some of them. What are your 5 quintessentials, 5 essential Quentin Tarantino films? I have yet to see Django Unchained. I know. I understand. I definitely got to see it soon. But I definitely want to say Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, Inglourious Basterds, and Kill Bill Volume 1. Favorite era of the 20th century? Either the 80s or the 90s. And I really wish I grew up in the 90s. I feel like I really missed out on a decade. Favorite band? Probably Rolling Stones. That's not just to make my dad happy because that's his favorite band, but, I grew up listening to them probably the most, so I'd have to say Rolling Stones. Favorite sports team? Boston Red Sox. I'm a Red Sox fan. Always have been, always will be. I know when I'm going to college it's by New York City, but still I maintain a Boston Red Sox fan. If you could live anywhere, where would it be? Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go to Switzerland. No idea why. It just has always appealed to me. Alright, and the last questions I have is from Ashlyn. She has a channel called Ready Set Ashlyn. Check it out on YouTube and definitely follow her on Twitter. She is really amazing, one of my good friends. I really like her. She says, congrats yet again about hitting 500 subscribers. Thank you very much. Now here come the questions. Do you intend on making different types of videos or just sticking to reviews? Well, I do make analyze reviews, which are way more in depth than just making movie reviews. I do Blu-ray updates, so it's not just me making reviews. I do make a couple other videos on this channel. Favorite superhero? That's got to be Spider-Man. Always loved him as a kid. I had so much fun watching Spider-Man Homecoming. So Spider-Man. What hobbies do you like? I definitely enjoy running. I'm a cross-country and track runner. I did it for 4 years of high school. I definitely enjoy listening to music. I love hanging with my family. I love going to my pool. There's a lot of great things I enjoy doing. But yeah, those are probably my biggest hobby. I know you love 10 Cloverfield Lane. Is there anything you would change as a director? I like this question. It's one of my favorites because I love that movie. I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. That is one of my favorite movies, just in general. It's a film that made me think differently about how movies are made. So, if I was a director, there's barely anything I would change about it. I just have it be longer. I'd have tension run a little longer. That's really it. What is your favorite series for movies? Probably James Bond. I'd want to say Star Wars, but we have Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. If it wasn't for that, I'd definitely say Star Wars. That's like a close second for me. So definitely James Bond. Alright guys, so that was my first ever Q&A video. Thank you very much for submitting all your questions. I had a great time answering them. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching my reviews and videos. I really do appreciate it as always. This is a video that I really have wanted to make for quite some time, and I finally am glad that I sat here and I talked about it and I answered all your questions. I really had a lot of fun doing it. I'll definitely make a part 2 if you guys want to send me even more questions. I definitely will. I'll answer some of the questions that I wasn't able to do for this video. But anyways, guys, thank you so much as always for watching. You guys really are the best. Thanks, and stay tuned.